Hi there, I'm Roux. Welcome to my video. Today I have 3 delectable, delicious stories for you guys. Scouts dishonor, not a toy, and Grandma, the real G. But first, let me do a wonderful shout out to you awesome people. Thank you so much for commenting well wishes for my baby. I appreciate it so much. And telling me where you're commenting from. It makes me feel so famous. And you, Wicked Witch Animation WWA, with your awesome comment. Who else rewatches videos on this channel just because? Excellent. And with that, let's get started. Scouts dishonor. I stayed in Girl Scouts through my senior year of high school because it meant that I got to go on a trip to Switzerland. My troop of me and 2 other girls planned this from age 14 and I saved up over $4,000. Because we were going to be 18 on the trip, we had discussed getting drunk at some point while in Europe. Duh. I understand. So sorry, 1 drink. A singular drink. Not to get drunk. Oh, I mispronounced that. I was just channeling my own teenage years there. I'm sorry. She wanted to do 1 drink, like try 1 drink while she was in Europe. Sorry about that. Brain fart. The leader, the mom of one of the girls, basically said that we'd have to keep it private because it's technically against Girl Scout rules. Not a huge issue, as she was already willing to bend the rules restricting us from using Airbnb and whatnot. We'd never been a formal troop, and the leader and co-leader had made jokes about porn and sex numerous times in meetings. Okay, this is a strange troop. We definitely weren't a picture-perfect little troop in that sense. The trip was approaching and the topic of drinking came up at a meeting. The mom of the other girl was coming on the trip too and acting as a co-leader. So I was the only one there without a parent. I'm going to call them L, entitled leader, and M, entitled mom. For context, I am mentally ill but stable on medications. I haven't really decided about the drinking thing yet. Oh, that's all good. But you shouldn't be drinking on your meds anyway. Oh, I've talked to my psychiatrist about it and he says it's okay. No. At my old job, I was practically the mom of kids on Prozac, and I know for a fact that people on it can't touch alcohol. She worked as a dispatcher. She answered the phones. Well, I've talked to my doctor and did research online, and moderate drinking is considered fine as long as you know your limits. Have you been drinking? At home with my mother, yeah, it's legal. At this point, the conversation devolved into them yelling at me until I was near tears. When my dad arrived to pick me up, I left as quickly as possible. I broke down in the car telling him what happened. The next day, entitled leader called my dad and said I want to go to Europe just to drink and that it's unsafe. My dad told her she misunderstood. The next morning, the first thing I did was try to clear up misconceptions. I want to make it clear that I don't want to go to Europe just to drink. I want to go for the experience and art and monuments. The reason I was upset last time was because I felt that my doctor's reputability was being questioned and it made me uncomfortable. Okay, thanks for clearing that up, but no doctor in his right mind would tell a minor to drink on drugs. Okay, I'm just going to shut this down because you're being defiant. You need to obey us because we are in charge here. Got it? I was pretty shocked because I was being super respectful. Like, I was quoting what my therapist suggested I say to be firm but respectful and explanatory. I was caught off guard and started tearing up a bit, but I used some DBT coping mechanisms and got through it. When my dad came to pick me up, they brought him in and said that we were going to have a meeting with some Girl Scout officials regarding my medications and the drinking thing. They said some misrepresenting things about me that my dad wasn't happy about, but he maintained composure and we planned the meeting. A couple of weeks later, 6 days before we were supposed to fly to Switzerland, the meeting happened. It became clear very quickly that they had lied to us about the premise of the meeting. They intended to remove me from the trip and leave me financially responsible for the loss because I broke Girl Scout rules by mentioning having alcohol. They had met with the officials before this and pitched me as extremely mentally unstable, rebellious, and incapable of dealing with the slightest bit of stress. They also claimed that I was bipolar and schizophrenic, which I'm not. It's also worth noting that I got signed off by 2 doctors and a psychotherapist and was stable and fully fit to travel. This backfired, because when this meeting happened, I was more composed and respectful than either entitled leader or entitled mom. They went off on me for stating how I felt in situations. They got irritated at my mom for saying I was a great student, to explain responsibility and handling stress. And when I mentioned my actual diagnoses, they said there's no way they would put up with that. Basically, me and my family played an Uno reverse card on them because they made themselves look terrible. When it became clear that the officials were hearing me and seeing my side, the leader said that they flat out refused to take me, and that there was nothing that could convince them otherwise. That meeting ended with no resolution and the intent of having a phone call the next day. After that meeting, it was pretty clear to the officials that this was discrimination based on documented disability, so they called my parents and told them that I should be allowed on the trip. They said they were impressed with me, and that they'd tell the leaders that they legally have to take me. They did that, but entitled leader and entitled mom flat out refused. I wasn't surprised, if I'm honest. The Girl Scouts required that they make it right, though. I was going to meet my grandpa at the end of the Girl Scout trip, so I could visit relatives. So I needed a new plane ticket. Entitled leader and entitled mom ended up agreeing to pay for my new plane ticket and forfeit troop funding for a large portion of the trip. Since it was so last minute and there was a cancellation fee for my existing ticket, it cost about an extra $2,500. They ended up paying the F up, so I guess karma kinda got 'em. It was pretty devastating, but I still had a great time in Europe in the end. The reason it was so shocking is because I usually get along with people super well, despite my mental illnesses. So it was weird to be hated so much, lol. Anyway. Don't discriminate against people for their mental illnesses, and thanks for reading. This hits home with me so much because I personally am on medication too for mental illness, and I can drink alcohol on it. I've asked my doctor and that's fine. So I know for a fact that that's a thing where you can drink if you're on medication. You just have to know your limits and you don't overdo it. And for someone to say that you can't when your doctors say you can, just because they think they know everything and they're busybodies, rub me the wrong way. Just because one type of medication can't be paired with alcohol doesn't mean all kind of medication can't be paired with alcohol. It's just, oh my god, that's like saying all wine go with all food. No, honey, but some do. Like, come on. I'm so proud of you for standing up for yourself. Fist bump. It's not a toy. Entitled parent lets kid treat wheelchair as a toy. The cast, me, duh. Entitled mom, idiot mom with no manners. Entitled kid, not super entitled, but still. And dad. Dad, who was just a helpless husband. It was a normal Saturday night, and I was working at my job. I work at a major retail store. Not going to say the name, but it rhymes with souls. The rush we get on most Saturdays had calmed down, and my coworker and I were just straightening the floor. She works the registers while I'm a floor person. We were folding down the floor when our entitled mother, entitled kid, and dad came in. Now, for context, our store has 2 wheelchairs for customers who need them to use freely. I have a particular protective stance on them, as my sister also uses one on her bad days due to her MS, and people like to misuse them. And here's where our fun story really begins. Entitled kid was a boy of around 12 and had literally ran into the store all smiles and laughs. Then his eyes zero in on the wheelchair. He goes to grab it, and I make my way over to the family and stand slightly in front of the wheelchair. Hello and welcome to our store. My name is Sammy. Can I help you find anything? The kid backs off due to my arrival, while the parents tell me they're clothes shopping for entitled kid. They grab a cart and all head off towards the kids section. I go to check on the rest of the floor and to fold where needed. It was a little over 5 minutes later, I watched the kid zoom back, snatch the wheelchair, and take off. I'm pissed, and was ready to chase after him. But a lady needed help getting something off a mannequin, so I put it out of my mind. An hour later, my coworker needed to take her break, and I offered to cover her. She hadn't been gone 2 minutes, when who comes to check out? Yep. Entitled mom, entitled kid, and dad. But you know what isn't there? The wheelchair. I'm mad. Not only did he take a piece of equipment he honestly didn't need, but left it God knows where in the store. I'm not about to let that fly. Hello, did you find everything okay?
Yeah, but your kids' area is really messy.
Liar, my other coworker who works in that department is beyond OCD and never lets a mess sit. But I ignore that and press on to what I really want to know. I look at Entitled Kid. Where's the wheelchair? Entitled Kid looks confused.
What?
The wheelchair I saw you take earlier? Where is it? If it's not in use, then it has to be by the front door. His eyes go wide. He knows he's caught. But Entitled Mom doesn't get it.
My son doesn't know anything about a wheelchair. He isn't a disabled person. He's actually useful.
Wow. I can't believe she just said that. Neither can Dad, it seems, as he looks at his wife with a mixture of disgust and confusion. Honey, Entitled Kid was writing it.
Be quiet.
Okay, so now I know what's going on. Clearly she knew her kid had used it, but didn't care about where he left it. I looked back at Entitled Kid, and with my stern but still friendly customer voice, I tell him, please go bring it back. We have customers who come in that have to use them to get around. Entitled Kid just nods and scurries off back the way they came. Dad doesn't look irritated, but Entitled Mom is mad.
That was not your job to tell him what to do.
Ma'am, my job is to ensure that all customers have their needs met while they are shopping. I can't do that if the crucial equipment for our handicapped customers is not where they can be easily accessed. Entitled Mom now giving up on trying to act clueless.
He was just playing with it. He wasn't hurting anyone.
Wheelchairs are not toys, ma'am, and he shouldn't be playing with them. She goes quiet, obviously trying to come up with something clever to throw back at me. Failing that, she goes to the classic Karen response.
I want your manager.
Me shrugging and calm as heck as my manager is on duty and no BS type of person? No problem. Then you can explain to her how your child was misusing store property, and you were trying to lie to me about him doing so. If you really want to push this further, I can ask for her to look at our security tapes. Before I can grab my walkie-talkie, Dad puts his hands up in a defensive motion. That's not necessary. I apologize for my son and wife. He turns to Entitled Mom. Just stop. She's only doing her job, and I told you back there that Entitled Kid shouldn't have had it.
He was just playing.
Dad and me at the same time. It's not a toy. By the time I'm finished bagging their items, Entitled Kid has come back, pushing the wheelchair back to where he had taken it from. He rejoined his parents and said a quiet, sorry, to me before they all left the store. The Entitled Mom glaring daggers at me the whole way. I told my coworker when she got back and we both had a laugh about it. Moral of the story, don't play with wheelchairs. I feel like that's so obvious. Like, why would you want to teach your kid to take away crucial equipment from people who desperately need it? Just because there's no one using it at the moment doesn't mean that you can just take it. Because then maybe someone comes in and they genuinely need to use it, but you're using it. And there's no wheelchairs there for them to use. And they just have to suffer through their shopping because you wanted to have a little bit of fun. That is just such a douchey move. Legit though, when my mom she injured herself recently and her leg was hurting, I was just like, oh my god, Mom, you get to use the wheelchair. But my mom was just too proud and she was just, no, I will make it. And I'm like, but Mom, you have a valid reason to use it. You get to use the wheelchair. Why? You can barely walk around and using the wheelchair is amazing. But she was just like, nope, I will not be using it. No. To finish off our stories, today I have a yummy little shortcake for ya. Grandma, the real G. Entitled Kid gets put in her place by her own grandmother by Drifting Joy-Con. For a bit of context, the Entitled Kid's grandmother is a saint. She is the nicest, sweetest person I've met. She loves to spoil us with delicious food. She is almost like a second mother to me. But her grandchild? Not so much. Since she's the first in her family to be born in the USA, she always brags about her beautiful English and her art skills. We are significantly older, so we don't really care about getting outdone by a 9-year-old in art class. We could put up with her bragging, but it all went to hell when we took a cabin trip to Oklahoma. She constantly bugged me to play on my Nintendo Switch. She always insisted on being the leader in hikes, and she even stole money from my friends' purses just to get some quick cash for a vending machine. She pinned the blame on me. I'm an easy target, being the only male in the friend group. But the straw that broke the camel's back was the hot tub incident. Again, we are all high schoolers. We are significantly older than Entitled Kid. She begged to go into the hot tub after we refused because we were talking about adult stuff. She threw the mother of all tantrums. She yelled so hard, Oklahoma City thought it was a tornado alarm. The parents rushed outside and witnessed Entitled Kid slam dunk my friend's phone into the hot tub. I fished it out as quickly as I could, and when I resurfaced, chaos ensued. After 3 minutes of screaming and Entitled Kid getting absolutely berated, her grandmother grabbed my friend's shoulder and said,
How much did that cost?
About $1,000, I think.
Entitled Kid, you know you have to pay half of that, right? But I sell your toys and use your money from your birthday.
Entitled Kid is dumbfounded, walks away in shame, and friends got a sweet upgrade for her iPhone. I mean, it's painfully clear that this kid has never heard no in her entire life, or she has some sort of mentally disturbed thing going on to make her that way, but most likely her parents are just really, really big pushovers, so I'm glad her grandma got some wits about her. She's a real G, if you know what I mean. That's all I have for you guys this time. I hope you had a swell time and that you'll come back next Friday for more. And don't forget, Halloween is just around the corner. My favorite holiday. The best holiday there is. Oh, there's going to be so many Halloween videos. Get excited, get excited. I'm excited. If you have any spooky stories you want me to read, now is the time to submit them on my website. Link in the description. I hope you'll want to stop by my Instagram and follow me and check out my stick figure stories. And check out my Twitch to see me stream World of Warcraft. Classic. Thank you as always to my wonderful patron, Catbra. I honestly don't know what I did to deserve you, but you're awesome. Links to all my social media and Patreon and website in the description. Thank you for watching. See you next time.